Well, first what we're going to do is, depending on the type of construction, we're going to adjust the distance between the tip and the pencil. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know how to do. That's not overly complicated. But once we decide how wide we need this to be, the angle that we need it to be at, okay, what I would suggest to you is you use your non-dominant hand.
Non-dominant.
Yes, so that means if you're righty, what is your non-dominant hand?
Hey, Josh!
And if you normally write with your left, and I would use the right to grab the pointy tip down here, like where it's kind of round, like not necessarily up here, but here where it can kind of spin around your fingers on the bottom. That's where you would hold it with your offhand. With your dominant hand, okay, see if your compass is too loose, you might need to kind of grab it around here to keep it tight. But if it's tight enough, really the way it's supposed to be used is now your dominant hand goes on the top. And that's what draws a circle. Now the purpose of a compass is to preserve distance. When you use because what is the definition of a circle? Compasses draw circles. What is the definition of a circle?
A round shape.
That has no sides.
Okay, well that's true. A circle does have no sides, but a circle is a set of points that are all equidistant from another point. What's that point that all the points on the circle are equidistant from?
The center.
The center, sure. So when we want equal distance, that's why we use a compass. Sorry, I need to adjust my attendance really quick. So again, you have some instructions on each page, but I'm not a big fan of it. Here's what I would do for the first one. We just want to draw congruent segments. So I want to draw a segment that is the exact same distance from A to B, but I don't want to use a ruler. Well, you're gonna use the fact that the ruler is a straight edge. You need one of these?
Yeah.
And you need a straight edge also. And you need a packet also. Straight edge.
I don't know, bro. God's good night.
So the first one's gonna be probably the most simple one. Because there's no rule as far as that these lines have to be like parallel or anything like that. So do as I do. Draw a point somewhere here underneath AB. It doesn't say what they want us to call it. Man, this smart part isn't working well. Watch that there.
Go back to
That's like an arm.
So it looks
Especially the one on front.
Alright, let's call it RS. So the point that we put right underneath, let's call it R.
Let me get to the feature.
Then you're gonna get your compass and you're gonna adjust the distance between the tip
How bad?
You're gonna adjust the distance between the tip of the point and the pencil to match the exact same distance.
Uh-oh.
Wait, what?
Oh no.
Oh. Well, how you doing that?
So just make sure that the tip is on one of the tips is on B and then the other one is on A.
Indeed.
Okay, have you measured it out, and then try not to make your try not to let it open or close after that.
It's like one.
So once you have that measured out, now come and bring the tip over to that point R that you drew.
Which one?
We drew a point. Yeah, I just called it R because it looks like in the directions they want us to call this RS. So now Yesenia, you don't have to draw an entire circle, but all you want to do is with that compass. Now remember how I told you how to hold it with your offhand, your dominant hand on top, your offhand holding the tip on R. Now we just want to draw a small little arc. That's all we got to do. Draw a small little arc.
You made
R is anywhere on the page. I put it underneath that so they know what number 1 is. Okay? And since a circle has points that are equidistant from the center, R acted as our center, I can now pick any point on this little arc that I drew, draw another point there, as long as it's on that arc. You would use your eraser, if you have one, to then erase the arc, and then use your straight edge to draw a straight line from R to S.
Hey, can you slow it up, please? I don't even remember.
Well, the good news is if you go watch this afterwards, you can hit pause as many times as you want.
No, I'm not on chill tonight. He's down.
Measure how far it is from A to B using your compass. Okay? Measure how far it is from A to B. At least 2. At least 2 loose.
So just see me.
So there's B,
Oh, it's up.
there's A. So once you have that distance already measured, now just come over here to R. Put that distance down.
I didn't do it like it, bro. I don't care.
Pick any single point that's here. Draw a point there. Call that S. Just call it a circle.
Bro, I didn't draw a circle in that. I placed a line and a point. What did I do?
So now if you were to get your ruler and use the measuring components of your ruler to measure the distance between A and B, it should be the exact same as the distance between R and S.
Yeah, it's just.
That looks the same.
Charisma. Why don't you guys go ahead and do number 2 on your own without my assistance, and after you do it, then I'll put it on the board and see if you did it right.
Are we doing this again?
Yeah, I just picked R and S because it looks like that from the directions, that's what they're telling us to call it. So I just went with that.
So we just put this dot anywhere.
Yes, you put the first point, which I guess we're calling R, you can put that anywhere you want. Well, that's an ugly straight edge, man. That's not very straight. It's possible. It's possible. Very straight edge is not very straight. One of the two.
Oh my God.
Burn! You need some aloe for that burn?
So we're doing this.
Yes.
What did you measure? Let's see. That's part of the metric system. So this looks to be around 3.
I didn't know this was good.
Looks to be about.
That's nice.
It looks like it's a little bit long, but I mean that's close. Just your compass wasn't that great.
I said
Say yes.
No, I said pencil. I said pencil. This is some bull. This is not talking. He needs some food.
Okay, so what you should have done is you should have gotten your compass, measure the distance now between A and B.
Trainer, give me attention.
Please.
Thanks, buddy.
So did we get one of these at home?
Nah, that's the one. It's only available here in class. So you can probably find them like at your local Walmart for a couple bucks.
I can still smell it.
I'm just one time.
Yeah, you do.
Walmart is a long way. Yeah, but it's not that far. I live by.
Okay, so if you're watching on the board, Kenny,
Yeah.
and all your wisdom, so I measure that distance. Oh look, watch technology. Just so you can see the first one and see if they end up being the same. It looks a little bit off to the school, but that's pretty close.
That's pretty cool.
So I'll pick the first point, I'll call it R. Now that I have that the distance measured, I put the tip on R, right in the center of R. I don't have to draw a whole circle, just draw like a little arc. Oh no, it moved. So I drew a little arc, I pick any point on that little arc, and I'll call that point S. Then I can erase the rest of the little arc. Oh.
I got
So,
the
like-
same thing, but I didn't even have to use this.
What if they're not the same measurement? Would they redo it?
Huh?
What if they're not like the same length? Would they redo it?
Yeah, they should be the same length. If they're not the same length, you're doing something wrong.
Yes, my stupid dirt.
Honestly, this makes it more complicated.
She's giving me mine instead of
This man's using this for he's using a compass for a pencil because he doesn't have one.
I want it.
That's outside, bro.
My tool won't let me draw a
I guess he's right.
like that. And then I can just draw a line.
stop.
Yo, that's disgusting.
You're weird.
Do you have ashy eyeballs?
Yeah.
How do you get ashy eyes?
His balls get
I was just asking. Chill, calm down.
I should have known before. Why?
Oh, you saw that?
Any questions there?
Go ahead.
If you want to, I'm gonna go one by one.
Such a teacher's pet.
It was fine a minute ago. Like,
Like, I'm not gonna do the rest of it, is what I'm saying. I would do that when you're on what?
I didn't use it, but I got the same thing just wrong. Oh, is that what we do?
did you measure it?
It's gonna be more complicated. The whole point is the compass.
You gotta add up the teacher.
Yeah.
So for the R, we just put the point anyway? Doesn't matter? Okay.
Alright, next construction. Congruent angles. Alright, so here we're gonna put the construction off to the side. It looks like, from the directions, they want us to call, alright, so let's just call, point up here, B. I'm gonna have to wait for C. Okay, so you're gonna start off by drawing a ray. You're gonna get your straight edge, and you're gonna put a point and call it D. And then just draw a ray.
Does it matter how long it has to be? Just put a point, call it D and draw.
Yeah, I would just make sure it's at least as long as as roughly as long as the one that you see here. It doesn't have to be exact. This is not a segment. We're not measuring distance. We're measuring angle measurement.
Just at the
But in order for the compass to work, yeah, sure, it's gonna be an angle. You're supposed to have an arrow. And actually, and don't put a point yet. Don't put a point yet on the other angle. Just put the point D.
What is that thing you're holding? Is that a calculator?
It's a remote control.
That's the fun.
It is like 1,000 buttons. How many buttons that thing has?
He's too sharp with both eyeballs.
I would like for you to replicate what I'm doing here, yeah, that's nice.
I've been using
Okay, now, now go ahead and let's pick a point here on the original angle, and let's call that like point B, because it looks like they want us to call one of the original angle BAC and the other one EDF. So let's call that point B, yeah? Can you draw a ray off to the side with a straight edge, with a point,
Give me against the reference.
okay? And we'll call that point D and just draw a ray, make sure it's at least as long as one of the end legs of it.
Hey, what if you just made it?
What if I just went? Just knocked it
And I'll just pick any point on here and call it B.
What?
Okay? So now here comes the compass.
Okay.
It's just nice.
Get the compass. And measure the distance between that point A and the B that you just put there. Okay, once you have that measured, bring the tip over to D. And you're going to get, again, remember, use your offhand to hold the little sharp tip, and then use the top to spin it around, and you're going to draw an arc big enough to where you would imagine that other angle going, so something like this. Enough where the arc would look more or less enough to be able to capture the same angle.
Wait, so I measured from B to D.
Yeah, measure from A to B,
And then from D.
and then do the same thing from D and kind of draw an arc.
We didn't say anything.
Okay.
And you know what? I messed up here. Well, I didn't mess up, but just keep the same distance, and let's do the same thing over here on the first one. We should have done the same thing on the first one.
Wait, what did you say?
Like, no, I didn't make a mistake. I just keep the same distance. Like, I should have, like, chronologically, it probably would have been easier. The same thing that I just did over there with D, I should have done it over here also with the first angle. It's hard for you guys to follow though if you're talking at the same time. It's just like that. It's the same. I haven't changed the distance. Like once I measure from A to B, I just spin it around on the first angle and then do it again on the second angle. It's quite easier than that one.
Wait, hold up.
Are you following me or not?
Hold up.
Yeah, it's hard to follow if you're distracted and you're talking to each other. That I absolutely agree. Here we go. Let's try to do this again. So, measure the distance from A to B. But when you do that, let's go ahead and actually spin it around to get it to reach the other ray. And then just do the same thing over here with D. So, if you're looking at your paper, you should have drawn two arcs that were the same the same distance from whatever A to B is. Do that, and then that same exact distance was measured, and do that. So, where this arc up here crossed the other ray, let's call that C.
Does it matter if the arc goes through the ray?
You did good. Find that same distance. You're perfectly on time. There's nothing wrong with it. So now, the only thing that you have left to do now, if your paper looks like mine, the only thing left to do now is to get the compass, and we're going to measure now, for the first time, we're going to measure a new distance. We're going to put the tip on either C or B, it doesn't matter which one. We'll put the tip on one of them, and then the pencil on the other one. So now we're going to measure this distance. How far is it from C to B? Okay. Once you have that distance measured, bring the tip over to where this point was crossing over here on the other ray that you drew. And draw an arc so that it crosses the first arc that was already there. No? Come on. Okay. Once that happens, put a point there at the intersection. So the original point that we drew, let's just call that F. Oh wait, no, let's see. The C has to go with the F. So no, so we'll call the one down here E. So we'll call this E. The one on top will be F. And then the last thing you do is get your straight edge and use your straight edge to connect D to F.
Then you erase the arcs.
And now those two angles should be congruent. Now the way you would check that is if you have a protractor. You don't have a protractor, but I do. So let's see with my protractor if what we did is correct. Turn this thing. Whoa, that's a big protractor. There we go.
Good God. That is technology. That's huge.
Could we draw a point at E if we wanted to?
Could you draw a point at E if you wanted to? Or do you... Oh yeah, you're supposed to. You're supposed to draw a point there. Sorry, thank you, Josh. Okay, so how many degrees does it appear that that first angle that I drew is?
1.
No, it's a shorter one. No, 140 is up 2, so it looks like it's a 40-degree angle. So let's see if this is going to be the same thing. Put the tip there. Rotate it. Let's put the blue line even with it. Sorry, no, it's hard to adjust this thing perfectly, but it sure looks like the second one that I just drew is also how many degrees?
48.
48. Liar. It's 40. Why don't you guys try to do the next construction? Try to construct that the same obtuse angle.
Do we leave the arcs there?
Huh?
Do we leave the arcs there?
Yeah, of course, it's the angle.
Alright.
Or you mean like the little arcs that you drew with the compass?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what, like, on the first one, I was telling you to erase it, but that was just more because that's such a basic construction, like, you don't even need a compass for that, to do a, but for these, yeah, you should get used to looking at, seeing the hash marks, so. Like, what you'll see on tests is, like, they don't draw the entire big arc, but you'll see, like, these little hash marks that look like this, and then here, like, you'll see it in blue, and then here they'll show where this crossed, and where that crossed. Yes?
Does it matter what you label the points?
I don't really care, but I'm just trying to follow what it says here. So, like, this first one, A, like, okay, so if you call this one A, B, C, let's call this one A, B, C. And then let's call it, when you do it over here, let's call it like the same thing, E, D, yeah. Just to make it easier for whoever's grading it.
Did I do it right? It doesn't look right.
Let's see how you measure it.
So this first distance,
your pencil's too long.
Okay, so let's see. Measure the distance from A to B. Okay, once you have that, let's say you didn't have the wrong right,
I was trying to find.
come here from B to C. Measure that distance. Measure that. Do that. Yeah, that's a little bit off. Just slightly off. That point should be where that arc is crossing with the F, and then you can just connect those dots. You see, it's just a little bit off. It's not that much off. Okay, as you're doing that, I will also go ahead and demonstrate. So let's get a ray going. We'll call the vertex D. Okay. Then I'll pick a point here and call it B, just like I did before. And bring my compass over. And measure the distance between the A and that B that I placed on the ray. Okay, it looks like I have a pretty good measurement here. So I will now do like a little arc here. And then I'll bring it over. This is the way it looks like on test. They don't draw the huge arc like I did on the first one. It's just hard, it's a little hard to control this tool that I have figured out. It just disappeared on me. Jeez Louise. Where'd you go? You just disappeared. Oh no. No, why? You just keep on working on it. I have to restart this thing. Oh, jeez Louise.
so make any point from A to B again?
No.
Oh, Brent? Look at that.
You put
Remember how we did these? We did the AB. Yeah, and then you draw it until it intersects this line. And you measure AB here. Draw the arc until it crosses the second line. And then with the intersection it says class C. And then after that you measure how far C and D is.
I wanted to make it exact, so I measured from where it's point B to there, so I did A
Keep going
to
into
the
the
end of
process.
this.
But you have to what's it called?
put this right now. Yeah.
Okay, so I did that, right?
Okay, so, yeah, pick a point, we'll call this B.
Thank you, Ryan.
Draw a ray.
And measure from C to A. Or
C to B. You go to this thing, combine measure C to first, you measure it from
Okay, then get the compass
until it crosses this arc.
and use the compass to measure. Compass. Come on, Mr. Compass.
Just draw it until it crosses this arc.
Miss your compass.
Where are you, compass?
Where the intersection is, but there you are. You draw a new plot where F is, and then you draw an angle.
Are you doing? Are you doing this? Look at that.
Okay, so measure how.
This to go to the be doing this.
Measure how far it is from A to
So
B.
you're going like this.
Bring that over to D. It should have a D here. Actually, well, first I gotta do the arc here. Sorry, arc there. Bring this over all the way to the other side. So arc here.
Good. If you want, just move it to the side a little bit. Just
Okay,
switch it.
then bring it this way.
No. Pick the thing up and put it. Put the sharp point in the middle. There you go. Do that.
Okay. And now we got this.
That's why it came out really wide.
So B corresponds
Sharp
to
point, so it's
E.
gonna be like the big point.
So Josh, this will be point E here. And then I go back to the original and now measure the distance from B.
Wait, where you place it, or where it is on the angle?
Just you wanna ask me?
Got one who I
Oh,
would.
there's an angle. No. Your first point, you can go wherever.
Okay, so measure how far it is from C to B.
So I think I had
Then you bring that back over to D. And wherever they cross, that's where you're gonna draw the, which you should expect to see an obtuse angle.
Wherever it goes to super C.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, I said D, I meant to say E. Bring it over to E. There you go. So wherever they cross, that's where the angle should go. We'll call that point where they intersected, we'll call that F. And then use a straight edge to draw the ray. The color's off or whatever.
That's not okay.
Alright, any questions on that one?
No, sure.
Alright, let's see if we can do one more before we get out of here. Perpendicular this is an easy one. Perpendicular bisection. Perpendicular means
Intersecting at right there, intersecting at 90 degrees.
perpendicular means meet at 90 degrees. Bisector means cut in half. So watch this one. This is one of the easier ones too. But you definitely need a compass for this. Okay, you're gonna they give you AB, right?
Yes, sir, they do.
Alright, you're gonna get the tip, put the tip at A and open it up to where you feel comfortable that you've gone a little more than halfway. Go a little bit more than halfway. Okay, to where you feel comfortable that you've gone more than halfway. And now, get that tip and draw at least a semicircle. Get the thing and draw like at least a half circle. Okay. Once you've drawn that, do not adjust the distance, like the angle of your compass. Keep it at the exact same distance, and then we're gonna come over to B and do the exact same thing. Keeping that exact same distance. Now try to draw a pretty much a semicircle. Why is this thing not going anymore? There you go.
Wait, what do we start off with?
Start off at A and just go open it up enough that you feel more like you have to at least go beyond halfway. You're not trying to measure like exactly half, just until you feel comfortable that you've gone more than halfway. How many intersections do I see? Two. If I connect those two intersections, I've drawn a perpendicular bisector. So if I connect this point up here with this point down there, you should be able to get your ruler, and that line, that segment, should be exactly halfway between A and B. The distance should be the same on both sides. And if you were to get a protractor, it should be meeting this end. So if I were to mark it, that is true, and then that is true. Try not to draw too hard with your compass. See, thus you're not go beyond halfway. So here's this is make sure feel comfortable that you've gone. Okay, I know I've gone more than half there. So just get that, and then so hold the tip in place. Hold the tip in place. Don't let it move, and then just. Okay, and then without moving the angle, just get started at B, and now do the same thing. And it should cross. They wanted us to call, let's see, did they give us a name here? No, I don't see a name. So we just leave it like that. Alright, I'm gonna come around and pick up the compasses. We'll use this again on Monday. And then, somebody